Hello, and welcome back to Asian Pulse. I'm your host, Shivangi Naiker, and thank you for tuning into Asian Pulse Television. May is Hearing Awareness Month. We don't pay too much attention to our hearing when we were young, but as we all age, we lose our sense of hearing, so it's important to have your hearing checked. COVID update. Now it is safe for pregnant women to get vaccinated. Also, Pfizer has been approved that children over the age of 12 can also get a Pfizer shot. And the third good news is that we have millions of doses of Pfizer vaccinations arriving weekly, so there is no shortages of receiving the vaccination. So you should register and get your vaccination today. I'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Buying or selling a house is a difficult process. Get Brent Prakash from Saba Realty Limited to find you your dream home, whether it's your first house, upgrading, or investment property. Always at your service with a fast, friendly, and honest opinion. Brent Prakash will guide you through the entire process. Get in touch with him today for a free, no-obligation consultation at 778-840-5866. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
We have in our studio Mr. Sav Dhaliwal, City Councillor of the City of Burnaby, who has been a City Councillor since 2000. This is his 6th term as a City Councillor, so have a look.
Today it's my pleasure to bring you Councillor Sav Dhaliwal. Councillor Sav Dhaliwal got first elected as a council for City of Burnaby in 2002, and since then 6 consecutive years he has been the councillor for the City of Burnaby. And I brought him here today to talk about the city politics. It's not politics, not in a bad way. What's happening with Burnaby and what's happening with the City Council in Burnaby. So welcome, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me, Camilla.
Pleasure is always mine, sir.
Yeah.
I have known you for so many years, and I thought, I need to talk to you. People need to see who you are.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Okay, what's your
Yeah.
background, and when, and I know you ran for the first time. It was 2002, and we are 2021 right now.
Yes.
So you are the longest standing councillor, and you
I-
must have seen so many things happen on the
have.
city level, at the city level.
I have. It has been a great opportunity for me to serve the public of Burnaby, but also gave me the opportunity to get a little bit more involved, both regionally, provincially, and federally,
Okay.
as a councillor. You mentioned I ran in 2002, but that was my 3rd attempt. I ran first in 1996.
Oh,
1996, and then 1999, and then 2002 is finally when I got in.
okay.
So and you know, in between,
Yes.
in 2001, I also ran for the provincial government for the NDP, and you remember all of us lost then, 2001?
Oh, yes.
Only a couple of
Yeah.
couple of MLAs won.
I know.
But the
it
rest
was
of
just
us,
right.
75, I guess 77 of us or 75 of us had
Yeah.
lost, including the premier and the ministers and everything. I had run at that time. So I've been in public life for a long time. Even before I ran, I was involved with the party BC NDP and the federal NDP since 1974, actually.
Oh, my
It goes
goodness.
back for a long time. And I
So
have
die-hard
it is.
politician and NDP.
And I'm still there.
Yes.
Yes, you know, so that's a few years now.
Yeah.
But I must say, it has been up and down. You know, you work yourself up to make sure that, you know, you see some change happening, and then it doesn't happen. So you need your discipline to continue, because you see good in eventually doing if you bring good public policies, that will they'll support the people that you care for, that your families, and your city, your country, your province.
Yeah.
So I've been involved, I've been lucky, been very fortunate to work with a lot of good people who've been my mentors, who've been trying to bring me along, and everything generally is following the direction of let's make some change
Yeah.
at the governance level. So I wasn't successful federally. I tried first federally, and I lost the nomination. That was about the same time in the 90s, and then I ran provincially. I didn't win because I used to work with those two parties, but then I was encouraged to run for the city, and I didn't win, but I stayed with it, and I eventually did get in. I was fortunate to get in, and since then, it has been a very rewarding, very satisfying career in politics. City, actually, local governments aren't appreciated much,
Yes.
but they do so much
Yeah.
that affects everyone's daily life,
Yeah.
more so than the federal and provincial.
Provincial, yeah.
You know, yes, they have bigger responsibilities and they do big things, but everything, your water,
Your garbage pickup.
think about that.
Yes.
That's the most critical thing, is that the water, the garbage, the clean air, the roads,
Yeah.
the libraries, the parks, and police, the fire, and all those things that are most important thing. But there are a lot of other things, such as planning the city,
Yeah.
what the city is going to look like, where the schools are going to be, where the playgrounds are going to be, what the future going to look like, and what the livability of the region would be. So those things are local government's responsibility.
Yeah.
So it keeps you very engaged. And the other thing is, we are the first people, we are on the ground, we are the first people to be approached by citizens,
Yes.
even when they have difficulty accessing other services which are provided by the province or the federal government. I get called all the time. And people don't see me as a elected official or something. They approach me as a friend, as someone they know, they can relate to. They'll call me 7 o'clock on Saturday night, Sunday mornings,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
Because we are local government. I'm not alone in that.
Yeah.
Local government councillors and mayors are always accessible. And then, of course, we work with them to say, well, really, this isn't something I can do, but I can connect you
Yeah.
to someone. And I've been very blessed with knowing all the MLAs of my city, because, I mean, they come from the Indian
Because
Democratic Party,
the length of the
grew up
time.
with them, length of time, and the MPs as well.
Yeah.
Jagmeet Singh,
Yeah.
Peter Julian,
Yeah.
now also we have Terry Beach, whom I've known for decades.
Yeah.
So we can reach out to them
Yeah.
to say, I think this is something in your area, how can you help?
Yeah.
Can you meet with them? So that helps.
Yeah.
Government's role, Camilla, is always about safety, security, and supporting consumers and taxpayers in their needs.
Yeah.
And lately, the division of the three orders of government is disappearing, and we are beginning to work collectively. You probably heard so many times that the cities are now working hard to provide housing for the homeless,
Yeah.
and for the and shelters for the people who are just at the risk of becoming homeless, and women escaping poverty,
Yeah.
perhaps even domestic violence,
yeah.
and perhaps even some other mental issues, and all those things. They were never part of the city services.
Yeah.
We always used to say, well, that's a federal,
Provincial government,
you
to
go to
provide
the-"
housing, yeah.
But we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
We'll say, okay, leave it with me. We'll have some staff to work with the social services, and we'll see what we can connect to. We can connect to you to hospital, we
Yeah.
can connect to mental services. But mostly, local governments have now taken a big step in
Yeah.
being partners in housing,
Yes.
because we are providing land, which belongs to the city and you,
Yeah.
the taxpayers.
Yeah.
We're saying, take this land,
Yeah. Build something.
build something on it, and we will not sell it to you. We'll just lease it to you for $1, and provide those services.
Yeah.
And those are actually assets belong to local governments. But we are saying, we're in it together. These are people who live here.
Yeah.
These are our people, whether they come from Surrey, Burnaby, or New Westminster. Their people belong to this region, and therefore they should be supported. So I think the role that local government now plays has become central
Yeah.
to what the province wants to do, because they're saying work with the local government. Same thing federally now, what they're doing, saying, work with the local governments. We'll provide you some support, in particularly around housing and around mental health issues, which is now we are moving away from housing into also health issues, which is really mental health was never a policing issue.
Yeah.
It's not something that we had to send police to. It should be something that we connect them to social services, to rehab places, and other things. So it's a really good mix that I think local governments provide now. So I've been very fortunate to do that. While I was councillor, I took the initiative to work with UBCM, which is the Union of BC Municipalities. I served on the executive for 6 years, then I became president of the UBCM to bring all 192 local governments together to work with the provincial government to see what we need.
Yeah.
And then also it gave me the opportunity to work federally, Federation of Canadian Municipality, that I was the director of for about 11 years, to really do some work as well on behalf of British Columbia. There were about 8 directors from British Columbia, and I was one of them. I was chair of the caucus,
Yes.
and I chaired a committee at the national level, which was the Finance and Intergovernment Relations Committee. That allowed me the opportunity to take what works in British Columbia and learn from people from across the country, such as Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, to see what works better there and bring it home to make it work here. And now I'm also taking some responsibilities at the regional level,
Okay.
which is the 23 municipalities in this area, in the Metro region, all the way from Lions Way to Bowen Island, and Twassen, Langley, and then Maple Ridge. Everything included are 23 different cities. And I chair the board.
Yeah.
And that is something which is also not well known. Metro is responsible for making sure the water that we supply to the cities is clean, safe, clear water, not only for this year, but for the next 100 years. The plan is there to secure water, even if we didn't have snow or we didn't have a whole lot of rain. There's enough water between that we have dammed and the lakes and the Coquitlam Lake that we could be good for 50 years, but that's planning. So that's bringing all the local governments together to pool their resources to create liquid waste plants, such as the one in Annacis Island. There's one in North Shore, one in Vancouver, one being built in Langley. All those ones are taking our used water that we use through our sinks and bathtubs and all that. Nobody knows where it goes, just disappears, but Metro handles that.
Okay.
Yeah, the waste we call solid waste, such as garbage, recycling, other green waste, people, they picked up, but Metro receives it and disposes of it. So that part is working well integrated with the cities. Cities do their part. Metro picks up the larger part of actually creating the infrastructure, such as building one of those plant, which is being built in North Shore right now, is $1.08 billion worth of plant, which is just a liquid waste. The water coming from houses, water coming from businesses and institutions being cleaned. It's almost drinkable quality before it's put back into the ocean. And you know, you heard about the plastic, the smaller plastic particulate?
Yeah.
The new plant, which is called tertiary treatment, will stop all that, will block all that.
Oh,
the
okay.
water going out. So when people wash their laundry, when people do all those things, they throw it in, and it used to go right through the system, right into the ocean. It won't anymore once
Okay,
that's one.
so it's good.
So we're looking at something not only good for us, but also for the environment, for the marine life.
Yeah.
So it has been a fair amount of learning curve for me, but I've also enjoyed it very much.
So how many hours do you work? It's just like full time, not even full time, even beyond full time. And when counselors, when I look at it, oh, they go to one meeting or 2 minutes, 2 hours, and they go home. But the
No.
way you've been explaining, it's like full time.
It is. It's actually more than if what you sort of get into. People think, okay, well, it's a part-time job as a
Yeah.
counselor.
Yes.
But really, Camilla, if you want to do a good job of it, if you wanted to, for a city like Surrey or Burnaby or Vancouver, they're such large cities, you know, there's 250,000 people in Burnaby, even though we're 8 counselor, because we don't have any ward system, they can pick up phone to anybody to call anyone, just like in Surrey and Vancouver. So you're pretty well working. If nothing else, Johnny, on an average day, Camilla, probably 10 hours is not out of line, but it's all like 7 days a week. So it works quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, so the other thing, people think elected officials make a lot of money. They don't.
They don't.
They
no.
don't.
No.
You know, even the MLAs,
Yeah.
you know, which work, they're hardly home. MPs are out there, they're hardly here, traveling all the time. And they do it because not for the money, not for the prestige, but I think they believe in making change. We believe in supporting the system that creates a society like us,
Yeah.
civil society, where people feel safe and secure, where children can go to school and play fearlessly, not worry about things. You know, we're very fortunate when we compare ourselves to some parts of the world
Yeah.
where, you know, we have our problems, no doubt about that, no question. But the system between the 3 governments works really well. Yes, we got to continue to do things. Lately, as you know, since particularly COVID came around, racism has reared its ugly head. It's rampant,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it has really been focused on the Asian community
Yep.
because of misinformation, of something that people somehow felt that all this is because of the Chinese community is
Yeah.
responsible for it. And
Yeah. So sad.
and you probably heard, Camilla, the incidence of racism has gone up so more
It's
than
350% in
Burnaby,
Burnaby.
yes.
Yeah.
Can
And
you-
700% in Vancouver.
in Vancouver.
Yeah. So it's just coming. If people are just attacking
Yeah.
the Asian Canadians
Yeah.
for responsible for this virus. This virus could have come from any country. So what you're gonna be? This is global issue. It has become-
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think it's just misunderstanding, or just basically people are using that as to what has been always a hidden kind of racist
yeah.
feelings they have.
Yeah.
It brought to
Now it's
surface.
coming
It's
out
coming
more.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, as good as our country is, but it has a really dark history of
Yeah.
treating minorities
Yes. Yeah.
and segregating them, ripping children off mothers' arms, taking them to residential schools.
Yeah.
The scoop of the 60s, 1960s,
Yeah.
still continues.
There's not that far away. That
We were here
Yeah.
then. The residential school was still
Yeah.
going. They
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to vote until 1947.
Yeah. That's true.
No, actually later than that. 1947, the Asians were like these. They were in the 60s
Yeah.
when they
got the right to vote. In 1947, I think Brown
But the
or
Browns
us
and
were able
the
to vote.
The
Yeah.
Asians got
Yeah.
vote, but not the First
Not
Nations.
the First
Not
Nations,
First
and the
Nations.
land belongs to them. Yeah.
This is something what they had previously, were tens of thousands of years have lived here, and they were, and so that was purely a racist policy, state-sponsored racism.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some one bureaucrat doing something, or no, it was Parliament working together to suppress
Yeah.
and to change and to kill the culture. Oh, so we have a history, although there has been a lot of times Canadians in general have been really more, I guess, working together with people. They had good feelings, good intentions. They fought in the First World War, Second World War, while we weren't even at war.
Yeah.
We went out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no worry about that, but our elders, our forefathers, mothers, they took on the cause because they believed in democracy, they believed in human rights. But at home, it wasn't always so. So now, even though the governments have taken serious steps to eliminate discriminatory practices, but people still are doing this, and guess what's happening now? It's ugly, it's disgusting, but Asian community is paying basically for something they have nothing to do with, and that's uncalled for. So City of Burnaby, like many others, we have just recently passed a resolution condemning, and we are celebrating the Asian month. This month particularly is the Asian month. And we are saying, and there are a few things we are doing at Metro. We took the initiative of Forum Against Racism. We compiled we assembled a panel from which included a South Asian, an Asian, an Indigenous person, and women, to really see how they have experienced racist policies and discriminatory policies. Regrettably, there's not much the cities can do by passing any bylaws. There isn't anything we can do. The only thing I think is that we need to, as a government, which is federal and provincial government responsibility directly, and the criminal code, the hate crime needs to be a lot more seriously dealt with than it is now. It takes forever for them to prove it. And then there's very little consequences to people. People move on, people forget, and all that. Nothing really takes place.
Because it takes the process so long.
Forever.
By the time it goes to the court, it's gone. I don't remember.
Hate crime needs to be dealt with quickly and strictly, and no, there's got to be no tolerance for that. And I think what we're doing, Camilla, is preparing the public to also raise their voice when they see something, when they experience some racist either slurs or act being taken place, to stand and call it out. Call out any people's, even your friends, doesn't matter, to say, that's racist. So so local government have a role to educate our citizens. That's what we're doing. We have brought in a policy in the city called equity and inclusionary policies. Under that, discriminatory things need to be challenged.
I'm kind of looking at the time because sometimes when you talk so much. One last question I was going to say, that recently we have heard there are a lot of gang violence or whatever. Burnaby used to be so safe. I mean, we always think about Surrey, Vancouver, Richmond, and other places. But now we hear almost every day there's a drive-by shooting. Even yesterday or this morning, there was women taken to the hospital. Is this a concern that we were so well behaved or people were not going in there, but now these people, they are moving? There is no safe city, kind of?
I agree with you. Burnaby was somewhat relatively little less known in terms of things, but lately we have our share. We always had enough crime, but now it's a lot more, a lot worse than was. Particularly the last week, this morning, today there was a shooting. A lady was taken to hospital. Just last week there was another one. A week before there was another. So the perception is right. Burnaby is now no different than basically whether it was Surrey, Vancouver, Delta, Richmond. It appears to me, Camilla, that by talking to police, what I hear is the gang activity has picked up so much. It's a lot more serious now than was 15 years ago when we created gang enforcement, the law units against that. It's gotten worse. So in other words, the resources we are putting there is not enough. So what's happening now, because the crime doesn't know any boundaries, and so it's just as easy from cross Boundary Road or cross Patello Bridge on this one or North Road. So the cities are really, each one of them are facing that really a crisis of gang activity. And what's disturbing, what's more frightening is it's taking place during daylight. Parking lots, restaurants, hotels,
Where
and,
there are so many other people
where
being present and the kids are there.
Public is around, and
Yeah.
that's very serious. So we're working with the police, and the police is working very closely with the IHET people, they're working with the gang units. But I admit to that there's a lot more needs to be done, and one of the things I think is we need to have a lot more Crown prosecutors available.
Yeah.
What happens, police charges them, then it takes years to bring somebody to court,
Yeah.
to case. Sure, in our society, we want to make sure there's a fair
process.
fair process. But it's not a fair process when years go by
Yeah.
and you haven't taken, the witnesses move on, the people themselves have changed, the criminal may be different now,
Yeah.
the crimes people are gone different. That may not be the most serious one then, but now it's even serious things happening. They should have done a lot more. We should be doing a lot more. So we're working with the provincial and the federal government to make sure that they put more resources in.
Okay. Anyways, while looking at the time, thank you so much for coming in today and talking to our people, and especially the people of Burnaby. Sev Dhaliwal is a counselor, and anytime you can pick up the phone and talk to him. He is very approachable. But thank you for your time, for coming and talking to our viewers.
Thank you, Mr. Dhaliwal. We have run out of time. Hope you have enjoyed the show as much as I did bringing it to you. If you have any comments, suggestions, please contact us at asianpulse@gmail.com. If you want to support this show as being a sponsor or to promote your business, please let us know as well. Before I leave you with these thoughts. The basic fact that as humanity suffers through kindness, love, and compassion, that humans bring can develop these qualities is their real blessing. If you have missed Asian Pulse today, you can watch it again on Thursdays at 8:30 and Saturdays at 5:30. And Tuesdays at 3:30 in the morning, our show will be uploaded on YouTube at Asian Pulse TV. I'm your host, Shivangi Naiker. Have a great week. See you all next weekend. Stay safe and stay healthy.